Hey guys, I have acquired quite a few comics and graphic novels recently, and so I decided that I might as well do a graphic novel and comic book haul today. I've got a whole lot of them. The first one I've got Ghostopolis, and this is a middle grade graphic novel about a boy who finds himself in a world full of ghosts. And he finds out in this ghost world that he has powers. And then he finds himself going up against the leader of this ghost world, and madness ensues. I've been eyeballing this graphic novel for quite some time. Several of my friends have read this one and have really enjoyed it and have given it high ratings, so that has definitely piqued my interest for this graphic novel and I wanted to check it out. I'm hoping that it will be a fun and exciting graphic novel. I wasn't super impressed by the cover art for this one, and so I was just kind of thinking that maybe the art inside would kind of reflect that and wouldn't be that great. But I actually really like the art style of this graphic novel, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one and seeing what it's all about. Hopefully, I will love it. Then I received Super Mutant Magic Academy by Drawn and Quarterly. I requested this one and they were nice enough to send it to me, so thank you so very much. Essentially, this is a boarding school where a bunch of teenagers with magical abilities attend. That alone has me completely sold. I am so excited for this graphic novel. I've also heard great things about this one. This started out as a web comic and then it was translated into a graphic novel, and I am just super excited for this one. I'm thinking that there will be quite a bit of humor throughout this graphic novel, and I'm sure it'll be weird at times, but overall I just can't wait to read this one. Then I received The Sculptor by Scott McCloud. From First Second Comics, I requested this one and they were nice enough to send it to me, so thank you very much. This is about a guy who is a struggling artist and he's hit this all-time low, and then he is granted a wish. And the wish that he is granted is the ability to sculpt anything that he could ever imagine. But there's a catch to that because he only has 200 days to live. And I will just say that this is by far the best graphic novel that I have read all year. I've read quite a few great graphic novels this year, ones that I thought would never be beat, but this one just completely beat all the graphic novels that I've read this year. It was hilarious at times, it was emotional at times, and it was just overall a fantastic graphic novel. I love the art style and the way that the author just kind of took on this blue tone and just kind of stuck with that throughout the graphic novel. It was beautiful and just a wonderful story, and I'm so happy that I got the chance to pick this one up and read it. Then I received Baba Yaga's Assistant from Candlewick Press, and I wasn't expecting to get this one, and I just kind of was like, oh yeah, cool, a graphic novel. But then I read who it was illustrated by. This is illustrated by Emily Carroll, who is the author of Through the Woods, and I was like, I have to read that right now, so I read it and I really enjoyed this graphic novel. Basically, in this story we follow this girl who is struggling in life. She's going through this hard time with her dad. Her mother has passed away, and so her dad is kind of in this dating scene, and she just doesn't like any of the girls that her dad is dating. And this girl's grandmother used to be Baba Yaga's assistant, and so she kind of grew up learning about Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is actually a figure used to scare children, I believe, and it's used like in the real world, not only in fiction. So if kids aren't behaving, for instance, if a mom tells her child that she needs to clean her room and the child doesn't, then the mom's gonna like threaten her child and be like, yo, Baba Yaga's gonna come get you tonight, you better hide, child. It's kind of used as this way to scare children into doing things, I believe. If I'm completely off, let me know down below, but I believe that's kind of how Baba Yaga is used in the real world. But this is about a girl who goes and is Baba Yaga's assistant and all that comes along with being her assistant. So it was really interesting and it was just a fun little story. This is definitely a middle grade graphic novel, but it was enjoyable. I had a good time reading it. Then I received Honor Girl from Candlewick Press randomly. I wasn't expecting to get this one either, but I was really excited when I did. I believe this is about a girl who is struggling to kind of figure out who she is, and she starts to have feelings for one of the camp counselors, and I think it'll be a really interesting graphic novel. It's a graphic memoir. It's also blurbed by quite a few cool people like John Corey Whaley and A.S. King, so that's really interesting, and I am interested to give this one a go. Then I purchased Flight Volume 1. This is put together by the same person who put together Explorer, the middle grade graphic novel series that I've talked about on my channel. And so basically a bunch of artists came together and wrote stories with the topic of flight. And I just love graphic novels like this where you kind of get to experience different art styles and find out different artists and different things like that. I just think these graphic novels are a great way to discover new artists and new creators. And I basically had to have this one when I saw the cover because this cover is beautiful. Like, this is just such a stunning cover. I am in love. And now we're going to be moving on to the comics, the first comic that I picked up was Ant-Man, and I picked this one up because I watched the Ant-Man movie and I just completely fell in love with that movie. I personally really enjoyed it. I get why people didn't like it, but I loved it. I thought it was great, and so I definitely had to pick up the comic book. And I believe this follows Scott Lang, and he has an encounter with Iron Man, and he kind of gives him this opportunity, and I believe Ant-Man goes up against Taskmaster in this comic book. So I'm really excited to read this one. Again, like I said, I love the movie, and so I'm hoping that I really enjoy this comic. After loving the first volume of Ms. Marvel, I had to pick up the second and third because I need to continue on with the series right now. It needs to happen, and I'm so excited about it. I just love the writing and the art style. It's just a great comic book series, and I can't wait to continue on and to see where Kamala's story goes. Then I picked up volume 2 of The Wicked and the Divine. As you guys know, if you watched my comic book reviews video, which I will link down below, I did a bunch of comic book reviews in one video. I wasn't a massive fan of the first volume of this series, but I've heard that it gets so much better. My main issue with the first issue is that things just weren't explained and different things were happening that just made the story super confusing. But I've heard that this is a series that you definitely have to be patient with and that things will be answered within this volume and things will be more developed within the second one. But I also just had to pick up the second volume because I love the art style. It is amazing. The art style just completely blew me away in the first volume, and so I just had to pick up this one mostly because of the art style. Like, the story didn't impress me that much, but I loved the art so much, so it had me, you know, wanting to pick up the second volume. As many of you guys know, I've been struggling to find Young Avengers Volume 2 and 3. I've gone to comic book stores, I've looked everywhere online, and I just cannot seem to find it anywhere. But I did find the Volume 3 trade, finally. Except for the fact that I can't even read this because I don't have Volume 2. So what am I supposed to do? I am just going to hold out and just pray that eventually I will find Volume 2, and I know that I will at some point, but I'm just tired of waiting. I want Volume 2 right now because I loved the first volume, and it had me wanting to keep going. It had me wanting more, but you know, I just can't find Volume 2 anywhere, and I've got Volume 3 here and I can't even read it. But either way, I'm still looking forward to getting to this point and being able to read the third volume. I'll just probably have to wait quite a bit until I can find an affordable version of Volume 2. And finally, I've got Witches, and I have heard so many amazing things about this one. I've heard that it's terrifying, which has me excited. I have yet to read kind of a horror comic book series, so this will be my first horror adventure with comic books. This is about a family who is already on the run from this like evil force, and they move to this new town in New Hampshire, and what they find out is that there is an evil force waiting for them there. I am super excited for this one. I hope it scares the crap out of me. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about the art style. It's kind of got this dark tone to it, and there's this interesting texture over it. I'm not a huge fan, but either way, I'm still really looking forward to reading this one, and I hope it scares the crap out of me. So those are all the graphic novels and comic books that I have picked up recently. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. You should let me know down below a graphic novel recommendation or a comic book recommendation. I'm always looking for new recommendations, so hit up the comments and let me know what I should be picking up next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon with a new video. Later. The super mutant magic for one of the camp counselors, there was a gunfire. Gunshots, living in the country, my life.